Hi everyone, this is Shai from Raising the Frequency in Israel, and I'm here again with Harald Kautz. Always a pleasure to have you on board, Harald. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm very good. Just to announce it officially, the Vela is gone. I'm just Harald Kautz again.
All right, makes things shorter.
Yes. It's sometimes these things are important energetically.
Yes.
So all the behaviors and connections and energies.
All right, and today, to continue straight from that, changing the energy, today we're talking about abundance.
Correct.
So, what is abundance?
It's an inner condition. If I would define it in the core of it, if I do things because I want to do them, because I feel like doing them, because I see it's necessary and I feel like serving in love to others, supporting others in love, if this is my only motivation, and I do things out of this joy of giving, and other people have the ability to receive, just being thankful. And on the other hand, completely independent of that, I am willing to receive, being thankful. Universe will serve anything I need in ways I don't need to predict. And if this starts to establish a continuous flow of giving and receiving, then I can say I am in abundance. And I have to admit, it's a bit tricky to establish this continuous flow. But it's possible on your end. It's possible to behave in a way and to basically learn the trickiness of it in a way that you can arrange your life and your surroundings in a way that this abundance just flows. This is kind of the short definition.
Yeah, I think for most people it's tricky, the trickiness. This part which is tricky, that's what's tricky for most people, to live in abundance. So let's try and, talk about how to overcome or to bypass or to go through this trickiness.
Most of the trickiness comes by the addiction to money.
By the addiction mind?
By the addiction to money.
Right, addiction to money, yes.
As long as we believe that we get things only when we can afford to buy them. It's like a tiny little hole everything needs to go through, which is the monetary system. And then we really limit the universe to the ways of sharing. If we say, okay, we live in hierarchies and do jobs, then the only way that I can receive money is by basically sacrificing my power to somebody to pay me for doing a job. This is self-limiting. It limits the universe by the belief system I'm stuck in. It limits the universe to give me money. So it's all an issue of self-limitation. If I would say like, well, I would like to live in a beautiful house. If this is my wish, I can live with this wish. And let's say I'm in love with making the best hummus of the world. I go to the marketplace. I've got my chickpeas in the garden and my sesame seeds, and I do it all myself. And I just serve hummus for free to everyone because this is my spirit that loves doing only this, because I know my hummus is the best hummus of the world and everybody should have it for free. And then somebody comes across and likes what I do, and he's sitting on this heritage and has this big house, and he realizes, from my heart, I feel like having this guy living in my house, and you don't even need to own it, you know? For him, it might be like the best solution to keep it warm and dry in winter, to have somebody living there.
Sure.
And he can't find anyone to rent it out because it's somewhere where only I want to live, in the middle of the forest or whatever. So the universe finds hundreds and thousands of ways to deliver the abundance. The only question that makes the difference is, am I willing to accept it? Am I willing to let go of the false security the monetary system gives me, the false security a job can give me? I do this since 2012. Kind of the initial, the moment where it ignited. I think we shared that story before, but anyways, it's a new talk. I was, for the first time, working qualified in Norway. Then I had to stop working there. I came back to Germany, and I found that beautiful book, The Sun Thief of Harald Kautz, about chemtrailing. And I tried to read it in English, and I realized this language is too complicated. You know, I just sit there, I don't get a single word of what she's talking about. Although my English was already good, it was too complicated language-wise. So I said, okay, once I'm back in Germany, I will have to sit down because I had the feeling I need to read this book to proceed in my personal story and learning and development. So I realized I have to sit down and stupidly translate that book to be able to read it. And I came back to Germany. I didn't get paid the last 2 or 3 months in Norway because the company had issues. I didn't have a job when I came. I basically came and I sold a couple of books to have something to eat. You know? This is the state I was in when I came back. I came back to Berlin on the last drops of fuel in my car, and that was it. So how life developed. And 2 days later, I get a phone call from a book editor who bought the translation rights of The Sun Thief by Harald Kautz, offering me to translate that book to German as a paid job. Yeah, and this was like wow, finally it works. I had a feeling. I was searching for the solution for ages. I went to Norway and I spent 1 year living without money. It was kind of a modern slavery contract. I worked for a company. I lived at their place. I was eating at their table. The salary went to my family in Germany, so I didn't touch money for a year, just to stop that addictive behavior, dealing with money on daily basis. That was kind of a preparation time to make it possible to crack these addictive behavior within myself. So I just was not in touch with the topic. And then it kind of ignited. Like I came back. I didn't even think about looking for a job. I just got back and realized, okay, I have to sort out my life in some way. And then the universe offered basically payment for something that I intended to do.
To do anyway, yes.
Yeah. Then I through the transhumanism chemtrailing topic, I got into the field of medicine, and I realized, oh, I'm fucking sick, you know. My liver doesn't function. I have a serious health issue. So I was in dire straits because the normal medical possibilities didn't have a solution for my problem. So I developed something to cure myself. And it worked. It worked perfectly. It was a new solution to an unknown problem. So there was some potential. And the pharmaceutical company said, well, can we produce this remedy for others? And I said, of course, you know. It did help me, of course. I want to share that knowledge and those possibilities that others can help themselves as well. And I didn't even intend to sell the recipe. It wasn't, you know, this clumsiness of, it's mine, I need to get something next. I was just absolutely delighted and happy that I could share in joy. And this company was absolutely delighted and happy to share the income they got from that remedy. And since then, I get a quarter yearly paycheck where I don't have to do anything. From time to time, I see a new problem. I get in contact with the people I work with, and we develop something new, and the company takes it because they have a good experience that the things we develop do work. So every now and then there's a new remedy coming out, but I don't do it because I need the income. I do it because of the solution.
when you touch the cable, there's some extra sound. So just be aware of touching the cable. All right.
Okay.
I wanted to ask or say. I mean, what you describe is basically in one word is trust. I mean, to
Yes.
trust what existence or the flow of energy in existence, what it comes and gives you. And in a way, I tell you what my struggle is, which is very similar to, I guess, 99% of the people on the planet, is I used to be in this state of trust in my 20s, even 30s, all right? Early 30s. And it was quite easy to do it because I was on a spiritual journey. I was growing spiritually, emotionally, mentally, etc. And I was reading the right things, did the right things, lived in the right environment without the obligations that this Babylon system or matrix has on almost everyone, especially if you have a family and you have other obligation, not just to yourself, but to your wife, to your children, etc. And I find it even more difficult than just normal one would find to fully trust existence. I mean, this is where it's tricky. To fully trust existence to provide, given every month I need to find the minimum amount of money for rent, for food, for kindergarten, for petrol, insurance, all the big BS of this life, you know. And I think this is where one start to trust less and do more. And my question is really, I have a question here, is if I now stop being afraid that I will not have tomorrow or next month, right? Is it at least 51% of letting abundance come in my way? Stop the fear, stop the insecurity in me?
What you describe is going into fear out of a feeling of responsibility for others.
Yeah, if I was on my own, I would manage.
Yeah.
I know.
And it would work. So now you feel responsible for others. You are responsible for others. So you let fear creep into your system.
Yeah, and that's the story for many people. Yes.
And it cuts you off the free flow of abundance.
Yeah.
Your fear materializes, putting you into a situation where you cannot support your family.
Mm-hmm.
This is a mechanism, full stop.
Yeah.
I don't need to name the solution because it's obvious, you know. Fear is setting yourself on a track to meet a future event, exactly the future event you are afraid of. This is how fear works. So if responsibility brings you into fear, there's something wrong with the characteristics of your responsibility. I would guess that it's a bit drama-based at that point. Drama triangle-based, that you feel like a savior for a victim, which shouldn't be part of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like your wife is responsible for having chosen you as a partner. You're a free mind. She loves your free mind. It doesn't work if you sacrifice your free mind to support her because she will stop loving you at the end. So there are many side aspects involved in these issues. I had the same story. It popped up a couple of days. I'm divorced for 3.5 years. We're separated for 7 years. And there never was kind of peace we achieved together. So we separated in dire straits, basically. And still from time to time, there is this demand for money that I never gave her. And if I look back at the time of that marriage, I spent 7, 8 years working in a used bookshop serving coffee. Yeah, with my academic mind, because it was the only security I could grab to be able to maintain my family, which never worked because with the salary, kind of euro per hour I got there, I would have needed to work 100 hours a week.
Yeah, you're always on the minimum. You're always just on the minimum.
It couldn't work.
Yeah.
It couldn't work, and it didn't work because I tried to sacrifice my internal richness, my potential to security. And this is how the entire thing ended. At a certain point, I had this opportunity to jump back into working out of abundance. But it was related to giving up all sorts of securities. We could have gone together to Norway, and this is what I offered. I said, I've got this beautiful opportunity finally to work in the field that I'm interested in. It's completely weird. It comes unexpected. It's just an invitation, come stay at our place. And I said, I would like to take you with me. But it would have been a complete loss of security, a loss of continuity in life. And she refused. She said, no, if you want to work there, go alone. And that was kind of the beginning of the end of the marriage.
Right.
But what did happen was that actually I started to project my internal abundance into the world by doing what I intended to do. This is kind of the first step. And when you do when you give what you have to give, the things that you need come back to you automatically. So I got into this loop that was over the years self-strengthening. I was struggling a lot with the ability to accept and take. When the first YouTubes came out and people started to donate money, it was difficult for me to accept that money comes to me for nothing, which is just a feeling of self-love and the worth you feel. Am I worth it to receive?
But why people donated money? Did you ask for money, or did they just offer without asking? I mean, how this happened?
It developed. At a certain point, I was working on some spiritual issues, and I had to step back from the stage, from external work. So completely pulled back for 8 months from the world, and there was no income stopped flowing because I pulled back for it. And in this moment, I asked for help.
Right.
Yeah, because I knew it was important to continue on that way. This was kind of, but then it automatically developed. Or it was, just a call going out from me to the world one time, and since then it's like stupid things like in between money goes down to zero, but I still have to travel somewhere because I promised to go for a lecture, but there's no fuel in the car, there's no money in the pocket, there's nothing on the bank account, I can't travel. I open my post box, I get a letter, I open it, there are 20 euros inside, I watched your YouTube, it was so amazing, thank you, I felt like sharing something. And it comes on the spot.
Right.
Life never abandoned me when I tried to do what I wanted to do. Yeah, so it always worked out, and if it comes on the last second, it doesn't matter. It goes to even higher amounts. With the responsibilities we take. If to take a responsibility needs resources, the resources come automatically.
So if I go back to being responsible for others, I mean, basically what you're saying, that even if you're responsible to others, without compromising yourself, I mean, abundance would still come, because that's the nature of the flow of energy. I mean, what do I need to do? Let's say I drop fear. Do I still need to do something, or do I need to sit at home and pick olives and make hummus and see what happens? I mean,
to stay with the hummus metaphor, it's enough when you share your hummus with others. No, because if you don't share, nobody. It's the kind of principle of resonance. When you share, others share with you. And I don't know, maybe sometimes the internal development lags behind the deeds. You cannot just adopt the concept without really carrying the spirituality within you. The universe reacts on your spirit. It doesn't react on your mind. So it's not a mental concept one can adopt to exploit the planet. Yeah, this is not how it works. But the moment you really manage to revive the abundance in your heart chakra, and you really give your hummus with a heartful gesture of abundance, then it immediately works. This is my experience. It all depends, but it's not for eternity. It can collapse again. For example, for the last 8 months, we lost abundance, and we didn't know why. It was a strange thing. Suddenly, the flow of things and money coming in started to dwindle away to nothing. So actually, we are in deep shit at the moment. And I didn't really understand why it happened. I just found out a couple of days ago that I took a friend to my place. He said that he was willing to learn and spiritually develop, and he was very dedicated to it. So he was sleeping on my sofa, basically. He was in dire straits with business that went down and all sorts of people demanding money from him. So he couldn't buy a house for himself because the state would have immediately have taken it away from him. So I bought a house for him. This was kind of the abundance I was in when he came.
Yeah.
Of course, it wasn't an expensive house. This is the universe. So there was an old lady that had that building. She couldn't find any buyer. I saw it. I saw that the roof was leaking and that the wooden beams of the floor were basically rotting away. And I just asked her if she would mind me to fix her roof to save the building because I like the building.
Yeah.
And she was so touched by somebody caring about her house finally that she sold it for basically nothing. Yeah, this is how it developed, with the building. So I bought him a house and I started to fix the house with him. But in some strange way, he was not able to freely accept. So giving did work, receiving didn't work. And because the receiving was kind of poisoned with some sort of greed on his end, I lost joy in giving.
Yeah.
Just because of that little detail, the entire abundance collapsed and dwindled away. Because I lost joy in giving. Now we're basically separated businesses. Yeah. So there's this poison is out of the field. It at least this is what I can feel. Because the other one that is living in this house, I decided they didn't have a dining room table. I still had a dining room table, a beautiful oak one, a round one from my mother. So at a certain point, I decided to donate that oak table for them to have a beautiful place in the living room. And I put it on the wheelbarrow and dragged it through the village to the other house. And I suddenly realized, wow, giving is joyful again. And it was clear that it is because the greed of that other person was not in the field anymore. So it's very sensitive. It reacts on every little distortion of heartfulness, every little component of darkness that is involved makes this abundance collapse. So you need to be very aware of what you do and very precise in your human relationships. If somebody is greedy, you don't feel like giving. Yeah, so
your picture and sound are gone. I mean, your picture is stuck and there's no sound. Maybe I'll wait, just disconnect from the talk and reconnect to it via the link. Let's see. Try again via the link. Excellent. Speak. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, I kept recording and on YouTube. I would just cut it out.
Okay.
Hang on. Do you remember where you stopped? Where you cut off?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can continue the sentence if it's gone. So every little distortion of this purity in the abundance can cut it and make it dwindle away. So it needs quite a bit of spiritual awareness of how your human relationships work. So if there's somebody who takes in greed, of course you don't like to give, so you shouldn't try to push it on him. And the other thing that might be not dangerous, but might be distorting to the abundance is if your joy in giving and taking is meddling with the drama interaction. So if you try to give as a savior, it will not work,
right,
because the entire drama interaction between victim, perpetrator, savior is not pure. It contains destructive emotions, these patterns. So never force anyone to take, to receive.
Yes.
So you give to people who wish to get something, who are willing to receive, being thankful. This is where you give. And then interaction is drama-free. You can't go to the street and capture people, open their mouth and push your hummus into them. It doesn't work.
Sure. But if I give a plate of hummus to a hungry man, hungry, not angry, then it's all right. I'm in a way.
Yes.
As long as I'm not I'm giving him the food so he can eat, not so I will feel good because I helped a hungry man. I mean, that's the tricky bit inside.
And be aware of where he is. If he's hungry because his spirit decided to starve himself to death to understand something, he's not willing to eat because he seeks this experience of being hungry, and you decide to put an end to his game.
Yeah.
You just avoid him making an essential spiritual experience.
Yes.
So he needs to want your food. If he
Yes.
doesn't want your food, leave him with his hunger because you respect his wish for this experience.
Yes.
You know, this is kind of the things that you need also to address.
You know, I'm thinking, I mean, more and more, the digital system that is being built for us to be obliged to, it's like getting closer and closer and harder to get out from. And you know, very soon there won't be any cash money. It will be only digital money and cashless society, and everything will be, it's already is, you know, but it will be even more so, which means in a way that the ability or the opportunity to trust and to let's say let go of your insecurities and to trust abundance that may come your way, as opposed to living in fear and insecurity that you have to, every 30 days you have to provide a certain amount to pay all the bills and utilities, etc. These start to be really opposites, you know. If now or 20 years back it was, oh no, just choose that, it's all right, and see how life provides. Now it seems it's getting more and more the opposite. It's either you fully in the system and you work and provide each month what you need to provide or to earn in order to pay your bills, etc. Or you choose the other way altogether, which is to go out of the system, because it seems like you cannot stay in the system, if I can call it the system, but live in abundance. You know, there's some contradiction there. Maybe it's only in my head. That's why I want to bring it up, because it's very common nowadays. That doesn't matter if you live in the US or Germany or Israel or wherever, that these two systems now collide, and it's really difficult to what I'm supposed to do here. You know, and it's getting worse and worse.
It's not a collision. There's a structure to it, how the two systems interact. In general, I remember I was in Canada quite a couple of years ago, and back then it was still like people were working for half a year. In any job, it was easy to get a job. Whenever you were somehow qualified, a rich country, you worked for a half a year, you made enough money to survive the other half of the year with whatever you wanted to do. If you look to the United States, kind of more forward on the development, people make 3 jobs at a time to make a living.
Yeah.
No time for children anymore, no time for recreation, just running behind after the money, killing themselves.
Yes.
And this is the entire economy we live in is scarcity. Everything is pulled into scarcity. You know, in Germany, if you want to go to the last villages with a good air quality, you pay an air tax, because healthy air is so rare that they tax it. Yeah,
wow.
This is scarcity.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything is labeled with an amount of money it's worth. People make sure that it's not available in abundance. You know, like paying for water. You know what this is? It's because of the water you can pull from your well is poison. Sure. So you have to pay for water that comes from deep in. Sure. Everything was there for us in abundance, and it's still there. That's just that we put a system on top of it that is labeling everything in worth and values and numbers and money. And then we make sure that we can trade it to get our share. And because everybody wants to have the share, actually, suddenly there's not anything left that is for free, because people sit on it and grab it and hold it for themselves out of fear, out of greed. So it's self-created. It's not necessary. Abundance is given by nature. We create the scarcity. And it's about time to let go from that scarcity. as a collective. And now what happens? It's a transition phase. If an order that is created, this is basically nonlinear dynamics. There's a mathematical realm that is describing these change of order in chaotic systems. So what happens is basically that the scarcity-based system is choking itself in scarcity.
Is what?
It's choking itself. It's killing itself. It's self-destroying by getting more scarce. I don't know in English. Getting worse and worse and worse and worse until nobody has the ability to survive.
Yeah.
And then, in the middle of that chaos that develops, of everybody basically in panic mode, making it worse by grabbing more, leaving less for others. Yeah. It's a process of self-destruction. In this chaotic environment, you will have single people who discover abundance, who realize, well, it's all self-made. It's like a nightmare. I just need to wake up by completely cutting any connection to that system of scarcity within myself only. And then you can basically recreate life out of your internal abundance on whatever. You have a little farm, you make your olives, you can share the olives, you can exchange with the neighbors, and suddenly, just by sharing what you have in a little community, between friends, in your village, with your family, by sharing what you have, you will realize, well, abundance never ceased to exist. We just need to share it, and then you will be basically form a little island of abundance, where you will not have certain things like computers, mobile phones, all the madness, the scarcity system created for us. We can let go of them to a certain point. Not necessarily from the very moment. It's not kind of, we don't need to let go of it to go into abundance. We can co-create the abundance and just let the other sort of system slowly die at our side. So it's not like this or that. It can kind of mix for a while. But what is important is to have that purity in your heart to make it work. The purity in your heart, and that you basically can rely on the flow of things like the universe is developing it for you. And it will guide you through the process. It's not very difficult to flow with it once it's flown.
It's still it's still tricky for me. I mean, I get what you say, but at the same time I have these thoughts in my head thinking, all right, let's say tomorrow I open a hummus place. All right, and this is something real. I'm sharing something real. So I'd like to open a hummus place, and to open this I need to go to the bank and take certain amount of money, even if I make it very modest and not fancy, like really old school hummus place, like from the times you lived in Israel, like very simple hummus place from the 70s or whatever. I still need a certain amount of money from the bank, which immediately put me under pressure. So if I don't have my savings or abundance from elsewhere, I need to go to the source of greed, which is the bank, and to borrow money from the bank in order to start this process. Even if I want to apply abundance in the hummus place, it's still a business. You know what I mean? And it works under the regulations or under the system of a business in a capitalistic world, which is not really capitalistic because it's not a free market. Otherwise it would be, I think, maybe better, but it's all, it's not really capitalism what we have. But anyway, I don't want to go there. I'm just saying I still have to follow some set of rules which go against abundance.
Not necessarily. We do have restaurants in Berlin that run on donations. Theoretically, you can go there, order a meal, have it, and give nothing. But nobody does it.
Nobody does what? Nobody gives nothing.
Nobody gives nothing. People go in there, they have their food. If they like it, they give a lot. If they don't like it, they give little, according to joy and quality or whatever. But there's no fixed prices on the list. This is kind of one step to, it's not like the completely open system, A gives to B and receives back from C. This is kind of where it goes to, but to gain trust, you can first make A-B interaction that is not preset as a contract. This is how I work. I do single sessions with people who seek for help, who ask me for help. We go on Skype or whatever, make 1 hour talk, 2 hour talk, whatever. Sometimes we talk for weeks on daily basis if it's necessary. And I do it for free. I don't feel like charging money for my time because it's such a joy to help someone through who wants to go through things. It's just a joyful thing to do. And if it works, I get a donation, but I never demand. It automatically comes. They feel the need to balance. And this is kind of a first step to go there, to have a single interaction with a human, and in that single interaction, let go from the scarcity within yourself. Don't demand, don't pre-contract, just let it flow, and concentrate on the feeling that wake up in you. And most of the people have more problems with taking than with giving. It was, for me at least, I can say, it was more difficult to accept all the monetary presents coming than to share my whatever thoughts,
Yes,
service with others for free.
It's funny, when I studied music in India, it was in what they call the Guru Kala system, which is the guru and disciple system.
Mm.
So the disciple comes, he has nothing to give. He's always come as an underdog, he comes to get, to learn some things. So there's nothing really he can give that can help the guru, the teacher.
Mm.
Still, the teacher needs the disciple as much as the disciple needs the guru. And I saw students, like Indian students, coming to my teacher, and they were giving him coconuts from the field, salt, whatever their farm or their surroundings was manufacturing from nature, producing from nature. They gave these gifts. They gave him mulasa, from the cane sugar, like straight from the cane sugar juice. They gave coconut, they gave butter, they gave stuff like that. Now I come from abroad, what can I give? Only money. Think, well, I'll carry what? Fruits from Israel, they will rot.
No.
What can I give? You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's still, we need the money as an exchange for other things. But every time, or at first when I wanted to give my teacher, and this is something that came up now after what you said, and I'm thinking, hang on, I know all this. Because when I met my teacher, and he said, okay, you play something, and I play tabla. And he told me, okay, you do this, you do that, and I did. All right. And then I asked him how much cost one lesson. And he asked me back, how much does one dha cost? And dha is a note in tabla. And I'm like, I didn't know what he means. And then he asked me, how much dha cost? And I don't know. And then he asked, how much dha cost? And I'm like, I don't know. And he says, you see, I also don't know. So you asking me how much to give me? I don't know. I have an idea for you. You go, you practice. When you find out how much one dha cost, you can come and repay me what you think I'm entitled to receive. And then from then on, well, he was my teacher for many years, and basically every season I gave him how much I could give. I never really counted if it's this much or that much. When I left India, I saw that much I have, I can give. I gave happily, and he received happily. And this system, although all his other students didn't give him money, I was the only one to give him money because his other students were from India and they were giving him things that the earth produce, but I was the only one to give him money, and I'm like, it worked, And now what you're saying with the hummus, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe I also, when I give some counseling, maybe I can also work in donation. And maybe when I do hummus, maybe I can also sell hummus based on donations. The thing is here, it's to really encounter the people's minds and habitual thinking process and day-to-day habits. They wouldn't understand it. They wouldn't understand it where I live. Maybe in some communities they would, and they would say, oh, thank you, this is really great. But
No. You have a bug in your thinking at that point.
All right.
When you say the people wouldn't understand it, what you do is you limit yourself and you exclude yourself from the experience of living abundance because you project it on them. Mm-hmm. Actually, what you say is, I can't imagine doing it. Actually, what you say is, I'm not willing to do it. When you are willing to do it and do it, if you just go to the state of internal abundance just for yourself, you will be a unique inspiration for your environment.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I remember it was a complete surreal setup. I was in Berlin-Kreuzberg in a Turkish fast food restaurant. And I bought, I think it was a falafel. And then it came to the point that I had to pay, and I just felt like, this is weird, to give money for food. It just felt like completely sick because I was not at that point of feeling that this should be there. And I just felt like sharing my inner experience with the girl receiving the money. And I gave her these €5 or whatever, and I said, this is really funny, you give me food and I give you a worthless piece of paper. And then an old man that was sitting at one of the tables listened to that conversation, and he could feel what I felt at that moment. And he was completely flashed. And he came up to me and kissed my hand. Because for him it was a spiritual experience that was kind of, wow, finally somebody got it. Yeah. Because it was tangible in the social interaction. Yeah. And if you do it for yourself, the law of resonance will attract the people who have the ability to do it as well. And you will be the one to inspire them to do so. And you know about the power of inspiration. It's not like picking up a mental concept. It's like having something morphed inside yourself on its own, rolling over you like a wave, transforming you, because you have somebody who is already there in front of you to give you the shape of the new internal order, and your own willingness to let go from the old habits. This is all it needs. And if you have somebody who has this internal willingness to let go from scarcity, and I can promise you, everybody is sick and tired from scarcity.
Yeah.
It is amazing how many people internally just wish to enter that space of peace and abundance, to be able to just live and be relaxed. Get out of that fear, get out of that coldness that is on the emotional side between people, because scarcity turns everybody into enemies.
Yeah.
You know, this is not necessary. It's self-inflicted. It's complete madness. We don't need to do this.
And I listen to you and I'm thinking, really what I said before, when I was in my 20s, to feel, it's not feeling, but to live this state of abundance, knowing that you just need to sit and play music because this is what you should do, and then the food comes, and then a new girlfriend comes, and then then there's a party, and then someone gives you a drink, and then someone gives you this, and then another musician comes and he brings others with him that also cook amazing food, and then you have nowhere to sleep. Now you can just sleep here under the tree, and everything is provided. And it's like, where 20 years sort of fast forward to now, it's like, where am I today? It's almost like different worlds, but they are not, because I am the world. Everything is in me. The 20 years ago, 40 years ago, and here and now. And I'm thinking, it's quite extraordinary to experience this, because I haven't thought about these sort of things for many years, and I need them now. You know what I mean? I don't say it in greed, but I mean, I feel sometimes alien to myself, because this is not the real me. It's like superimposed on me from the outside, because of the scarcity system, that I need every day something to put in the bank account. Just the fact that I have a bank account, all this is really strange thinking about it. But this, as opposed to, or not opposed, but it's alien to me. I prefer...
Yes, but you can't get rid of it unless you realize that it's self-inflicted.
Until what? Until I realize what?
That it's self-inflicted, that you did that to yourself. The moment you realize, I voluntarily moved into scarcity, or just out of stupidity, let myself being inspired by the scarcity around me. Inspiration works both ways.
Yeah.
You can have yourself inspired by the wrong things, and you moved into that.
See, I have tears in my eyes, because I hear the truth and I resonate with it. It's so true. I let myself slide into this system day by day without noticing, and I have no one to blame even. It's just me.
Don't blame yourself.
No.
Just realize that you have moved down the road in the wrong direction.
Yes.
Turn around and go back. It's easy. And I can, as a living example, I can state from my own life. I did that for 8 years. I thought I could serve out of responsibility by cutting myself off my internal abundance, serving in a slave system, trying to make the money the family needed. And I completely failed. I lost my family because I failed in the scarcity surrounding me, because I accepted that scarcity invading my life. And I lost that family. I learned my lesson. I moved back into abundance. And now from the outside position, I'm even able to serve my family monetarily, because I have enough to share. And it does work. It is reversible. This is what I can say from my life. And yes, it took some effort to understand how it works, what scarcity is, what abundance is. It took some courage to experiment with abundance until I could fully trust. But it all works. And it's reliable. It's much more reliable than a job you can have.
Do you have a bank account?
Yes, I do have one.
All right. Just a question.
No, it doesn't disturb. I still
know.
handle money because other people handle money.
Yes.
I don't like to, but I do so because other people kind of are still in love with this paper. Don't know why, but they are. So still many things run in the old-fashioned way.
But in Germany, I think you still find, more than Israel, you still find like villages which run the old-fashioned way. And in Israel, especially now with all the 5G, the LED street lights and all this digital system, every little corner is going to be like a city, which means it will have Wi-Fi, it will have LED lights, and it will have all this twisted reality shoved down its throat. It doesn't matter if it's a small kibbutz or small settlement or a village. Whereas in Germany, I think you can still somehow find your way, because most of the people, they don't care about abundance, about scarcity. They just want to make money and live their life as everyone else do. But those who do look to apply different system, which is an old system, yes, it's nothing new, but to apply and to live it day by day, it's maybe, I don't know. You said in Berlin there's a place that runs on donations. I know also in Tel Aviv there's few places. Not to say they don't struggle, but it's a different system. Even places who run on scarcity, they struggle. So it doesn't mean this is better than the other. But maybe it's easier to do it in a remote village. You know what I mean? Because then you need less.
What is extremely helpful is that I live on my own farm, so I can't lose my flat. I have a garden, so I can't starve. These are the basics.
Yeah.
So yes, it does make sense to reorganize your life in a way that you get self-supplying as much as possible. Of course, if you live in the city and you have to pay your rent every month, you get chucked out of your flat if you don't pay. This is an issue. So I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
But it's a decision that is made at a certain point. My house that I live in didn't cost anything. It was falling to bits and pieces. I got it for 3 months rents. Like it's doable. At least in Germany, it's doable.
Yeah, here you
and if you just get a piece of land and just erect your little container flat on it, but it's used. It needs, at certain points, it needs courage. It needed courage to move into a house that didn't have double-glassed windows, had single brick walls, was freezing to death in winter. It was inconvenient, but it was mine. I did it, and I fixed it, and I refurnished it.
I would move to a place like this now, but in Israel, it's the Jewish land. Everybody here is about money, and you need at least 250,000 euros, at least, just to buy a small place which is not really yours. It's the bank's, and the bank, just like vultures, wait till you miss a payment, because then it takes your house. And it's like, what?
Yes. This is what I call choking itself in scarcity.
Yeah.
The system. And if you say this is typical Israel, you're ahead of everybody else. in scarcity, you should be the first one to discover abundance. Because this is how it works. You should be the first ones who take the steps out of scarcity into abundance. Because you are at the tip of the development into complete self-destruction. This is how nature works.
I need a holiday after this talk. Right, I think maybe maybe just leave it at that for now until our next talk, because I need to get my head and my heart and my soul and my spirit around these issues and subjects and ways of life, because I'm telling you, on the personal level, it's not just bugging me. I feel I'm in a crossroad, in my life. I'm doing, for many years now, I have a business, but it's also to do with community service. Running the fight against fluoridation in Israel and against 5G in Israel. It's like, okay, this I do, it's not to make a living, it's just because I'm here, so I might as well push back, those agendas. But at the same time, I'm running a business and it ain't easy. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Also, it doesn't work. Something doesn't feel right, the way things are moving. And obviously, on many levels, not just business or money or this, but on many levels, it feels like things, the amount of food, the weather, I said the amount of food, but the scarcity of food, all right? And the weather, and the monetary system, and 5G, and diseases, etc., etc. These things, it seems like they get worse by the day or by the month. And I think before it will get any better, it may get even worse. And because I sense it and I'm in touch with brilliant minds all over the world, they also project few years into the future, and
okay, I'm back.
They also, these great minds that I'm in touch with, they also project few years into the future, and they also say, listen, before it will get any better, probably it will get worse. So have your own farm, have your own garden. This is a necessity. And those who don't see it, they don't see it. It's fair enough. But those who see it, they need to think 2 steps and 3 steps ahead to prepare. And I'm thinking I'm on a crossroad that I need to decide again. It's almost on a monthly basis. I need to decide again what I'm doing with my life. And okay, I have a wife and son, but we are a unit, What we do with our life. Is it here in Israel, with what's happening in Israel? Is it somewhere else? Is it to do with money, or is it to do with sharing, Is it to do with scarcity or with abundance? Do I need to open a new business? Do I need to live in another place in Israel or elsewhere around the world? I'm telling you seriously, it's stuff that goes through my head in the past few weeks now, and maybe even more. And after the conversation I had with Olga Sheehan, and after this talk with you, I have some thinking to do, some processing to do. And not to say it's heavy, it's not heavy, but it's important, it's crucial that I don't rush things and I just do them and see what comes my way, because this will help me to choose.
Yeah. There's a saying in spiritual circles in Germany. It doesn't matter how heavy the problem is. The solution is always fun. Yeah,
I need to remember, like Bill Hicks said, it's a roller coaster. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter
Yeah.
how much money you have. Just enjoy the ride. Doesn't matter what you eat or which business you have or what you do or where you live. Enjoy the ride.
And this is also what is limiting development for many people. Also, what you did during the talk, focusing on the problem. If you focus on the problem grows. If you focus on the solution, it's getting funny. Because the solution is getting you energy. The solution can go into resonance with what you achieved internally. This is how it works. And it's...
Well, in my head, I also go to solutions because I was like thinking, okay, shall I open a hummus place here? Or, already I'm thinking how I open a hummus, which it will be called abundant hummus. And people can just come and pay as they like, And it can work. In a bizarre way, it can work. It should work. I must have it worked. Anyway. Right.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is it to the topic.
Yeah, to be honest, I think we will come back to it. Not today, but in another talk, because abundance is something that tickles the minds of many people. And I had during what you said, I had this hypothetical question: if the white man wouldn't have come to Africa, would the black man would still live in scarcity or abundance?
They always were living in abundance. This is typical African. Just take what you need. Don't take more than you need. This is why the continent was sustainable for millennia, until the white man imported scarcity and declared that he needs to take everything out of Africa just to have it. And this is when the scarcity started to develop. The black people are still not there. If you leave them alone, they immediately drop back into abundance and just take what they need for their daily needs and leave the continent in peace and leave nature in peace.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in Africa, my professor, I was there with the university group, he's always said a campfire needs to be huge. And he paid everybody to collect all the firewood, pile it up to make a huge fire because he loved huge fires. The black people just said he's crazy because he paid for them collecting the wood. For the next years,
there's no wood.
The distance to get firewood for the entire village was like 1 kilometer more. They had to walk on daily basis to get their firewood. And if they made a fire, it was like 3 sticks put together as a star. And there was only a little fire where the wood touched in the middle. And if they stopped cooking, they pulled it apart.
Like I do, sure.
Yeah, this is abundance. Just take what you need and not more.
Yeah. And actually it's true also for the Americas and for India and for the Far East. I mean, the indigenous people, they always lived in abundance. I mean, they take just what they need from nature and bring back, and that's it.
Yeah, just to maybe as a last thing, the entire picture of the planet. 50 years ago, a washing machine was built to last for 50 years. If you get one from the 50s, it still runs.
Yeah.
Today, a washing machine is built to survive 3 years. Why? Just because the interest rates demand growth, and we cannot produce growth in a different way than making the lifespan of products shorter and shorter. Yeah. This is the only option left to maintain growth rates. And this is what the economy does, making them shorter and shorter and shorter down to 1 year. Like here, my pot to keep my tea hot. We desperately try to find a thing like that lasts for more than 2 months before it implodes. We can't.
2 months.
This one is from the 70s. It's still okay. Fuck it. This is madness, and this is it's not only choking our daily things we try to organize our lives in. It also basically robbing the resources of the planet that are meant to be there for the next 20 generations. Yeah. We all use it up in one generation because we are caught in this self-destructive cycle. Just give me a break from that. Can you just get your mind clear for a second, say what we are living here as a collective, it's sheer madness, we have to stop from this, and because we need to stop this, I stop this now for myself. This is the only way to get out, because everything else is just like a waste of energy. It's not that I'm going there and talk and try to solve something that others need to do then. This is all part of this madness. Change happens within yourself, or it doesn't happen. Yeah. This is all that needs to be said, and I don't think anybody would say that what we do live is not madness on a collective level. Everybody can see this. We kill each other out of greed. We destroy the planet out of greed. So what we need to do is to stop greed. And we can only stop greed when we stop this scarcity and go back into abundance, because it's the only existing opposite to scarcity. There's no other opposite you can save yourself into. So there's no other way. And it's not a question whether we do it or we don't do it. It's just a question of when do we do it. How bad does it need to get with the scarcity until we discover abundance? This is the only open question that I cannot decide for others. This is a question everybody decides for himself. Yeah. How much of this shit do you need to take before you take steps to get out of it? This is the only question. And this is something everybody needs to decide in self-responsibility, and I don't meddle into other people's affairs. I just state what I see.
Well, thank you for that. And I'm going to make myself hummus now, so
yes,
I think
so make some more for your neighbor.
Yeah, I'll tell the audience that in Germany it's rather cold now. Not winter cold, but it's cold, and in Israel it's very pleasant now. So a warm plate of hummus would do you good now.
Yes, I'm going to get one very soon.
All right. Thank you very much, Harald. Harald Kautz, without the vela now. And I will write it now. I hope people will find your YouTube now without the vela. Who is Harald Kautz?
Yeah, you can edit some in brackets, formerly known as
Black Goo Harald Kautz Vela. I think we need to retouch on this subject again. Maybe not our next talk, but some point, because I will update you what happened with me, with my... Yeah,
collect some experience with yourself, and then we have something to share and see whether the thing I offer really works.
Yes, because it's very interesting subject, and B, it's needed, and C, as I said, I'm in a crossroads, so very soon I will have to choose, or life will choose for me a path that I should continue.
And don't limit the universe with preset expectations. You said you will need a bank loan to open you. Maybe you just need a partner that wants to do it with you, and he can't cook hummus, but has money, and you can make hummus, but don't have money. So all you need is basically putting your spirit out there to attract the partner you need, and then you have even double joy because you don't do the thing alone. Maybe he's the perfect match for the business. There's no limit in how life can express itself. It can be anything.
It's true.
You don't need money to achieve things. You need things to approach you. Yeah. It's a big difference.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for that as well.
Okay. So have a great day.
Right, you too, and we'll catch up very soon. Thank you very much. Ah, and by the way, and in one of our last videos, someone just remarked today that I really love Harald Kautz Vela, and I write this when the other guy is talking, referring to me. So when I talk, he's writing, you know, something because he's more interested in what you say. And I wrote back, I really like the other guy. So anyway, that's it. So just so you know, people really love your videos, and there's thousands of views on our YouTubes. And I really appreciate the subjects that we touch in these videos, because it's not the other bits which is very easy to fall into and talk about them and really cause you like, oh shit, you know, where are we heading to? And what we do here is, I think, is something more refreshing, because coming from where we come with our knowledge about who runs things, you know, in the human world, etc., and still be able to speak about abundance and to laugh and smile, and I think this is great. This is the sort of spirit everyone should have. So thank you for that. Thank you for bringing it to YouTube and to the spiritual world and to the digital world and to everyone who watches these videos. Thank you very much, Harald.
Okay.
Cheers.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.